While fighting, old Huang racked his brain for an escape. When they reached inside, he seized the chance and hurled the butcher into the hallway like a basketball. Old Huang swiftly closed and barred the iron door, trapping the butcher outside like a caged hen. He burst through a security window to the balcony, sliding down from the third floor like a superhero. When the butcher burst in, old Huang had vanished without a trace. Upon landing, he intended to find the doctor, but saw him arrested by the police like a scene from an American drama. So old Huang had no choice but to skedaddle, and that very night, the police busted the child trafficking base, sending shockwaves through Chavel's empire like a blockbuster movie. The local crime boss issued a fine to old Huang at all costs order, no matter the price. Meanwhile, old Huang traced back to Brother Beard to nail down the location of the old Huang dashed towards the wolves' den overnight. Come morning, he found the streets quieter than a cat's whisper, see not a soul in sight. The only sign of life was a kid kicking a soccer ball by the roadside. Old Huang casually pulled over and struck up a chat in the simplest English, like fishing for clues. After slipping the kid's some pocket money, old Huang learned about Chavel's drug factory disguised as a soccer field. It was like finding out a candy shop was really a haunted house. Instead of rushing in like a bull in a china shop, he settled in an abandoned building across the street, plotting his next move, unaware that he was now on the police's radar. Meanwhile, the police were lurking in an abandoned building nearby, waiting for old Huang just like a game of hide and seek, as his trip to the wolf's den had sprinkled danger all over. Worse still, the butcher rushed into Chavel's arms shop, beat the staff, learned where the Korean girl was held, and was ready for action. The butcher, armed and dangerous, headed to wolf's den, while old Huang, unaware, pondered plans like a philosopher. Just as he was deep in thought, he spotted a little head pop up from the window across the street. See, could it be his long-lost daughter? What were the odds? Old Huang watched helplessly as his daughter was swept away, the snatchers van practically waved goodbye. He dashed down the stairs like Superman heading to save the day. With his daughter being shoved into a van, old Huang revved his engine to chase them down, only to round the corner and find the butcher waiting like an uninvited guest. Dodging bullets like a pro, old Huang stepped on it, but lo and behold, a police car came out of nowhere and slammed into him, flipping his ride like a roller coaster gone rogue. Luckily, old Huang emerged from the wreckage unscathed, only to find the butcher getting a face full of police like had just won a bad prize. Old Huang spun around and bolted back to the scene of the action. See, car crash. No problem. A dad's got to save his kid. He took off like a bat out of hell for the place his daughter had been snatched, while the butcher was fuming, getting hot under the collar. Enraged, the butcher hurled a grenade at the stash of weapons had just dropped, while old Huang sprinted in to rescue his daughter before she went under the knife. Old Huang yanked the needle out of his daughter's arm and gently wiped her tummy like he was soothing a wounded bunny, promising everything would be alright. In the ice house, old Huang tended to his wounds while cleaning up his daughter, showing that even a killer has a soft spot now and then. After cleaning up, he reached out to Brother Beard to confirm the details for meeting the smuggler. Brother Beard instructed Huang to check into a hotel under the name Lee Jongjai, outlining the plan that sounded like a scene ripped from a thriller movie. Meanwhile, Brother Beard was making his escape plans, while old Huang didn't know when to quit. The butcher bolted into Chavel's house like a wild rocket, ready for mayhem with a one-track mind. Chavel was just as infuriated with old Huang, and they struck a deal: find old Huang and take him out, just like that. The next morning, old Huang and his newly awake daughter checked into the hotel, still under the guise of Lee Jongjai. Once inside, old Huang flicked the lights on and waited anxiously for the smuggler's call, feeling like he was about to face an exam. Finally, the phone rang, and old Huang rushed to pick it up, confirming the time and place for the money exchange. He wanted to get Yi to come keep his daughter company, but nobody picked up the phone, so he had to leave a message. Just before leaving, his daughter opened her arms for a hug, and old Huang's heart melted like ice cream in the sun. He comforted her before rushing out the hotel door. Subtitles. He smoothly managed to meet up with the smuggler and handed over the money, with the arrangement to gather at the dock at 5 p.m. in the afternoon. However, as soon as old Huang arrived at the hotel entrance, he had a strange feeling that something was amiss. The hotel lobby was filled with unfamiliar muscly heads who stood as soon as old Huang walked in, as if welcoming him to a surprise party. Old Huang sensed trouble and pushed the door open, only to find the butcher lounging on the sofa like an unwelcome houseguest, and before he could react, the lights went out. Chavel's henchmen were ready to carve old Huang into pieces, but they had no idea surprises were about to unfold. Before old Huang could blink, the butcher whipped out his gun and blasted Chavel's thugs like a scene from a movie. Butcher left only two hapless goons standing, and after tossing them a fat stack of cash, he decided to take old Huang to meet The butcher dropped old Huang like a hot potato, ready for some family vengeance, turning the scene into a soap opera ready to explode with drama. Old Huang was dragged to the parking lot, forced into a van, a scene fit for action flicks. At that moment, Huey witnessed the whole thing, eyes wide with shock. See, it was like a scene straight out of a movie. He had been hiding there, weighing his options, but when he saw old Huang getting taken away, he jumped into his own car on a whim like a scene from a crazy comedy. Buckling up, he slammed on the gas and crashed into the van. Truly a moment to remember. With adrenaline pumping, old Huang got to his feet, gun leveled at the driver, demanding info on his daughter, only to catch a glimpse of the butcher peeling away like he was in a getaway car. Without hesitation, old Huang took off after him, burning with rage and ready for round two with the butcher. Meanwhile, while chaos churned quietly, the butcher was cruising without a care, as old Huang continued his relentless pursuit. At that moment, he heard his daughter's cries from the trunk, and it felt like a dagger to the heart as he moved to check on her. Suddenly, the butcher attacked, stabbing old Huang in the chest. In frenzy, he grabbed a grenade,